Hey, Jim. How you
Hello,
doing?
everybody. Good to see everybody.
Well, Coach says it's truly, in his opinion, the best coaching staff in America. That's always nice to hear. But from a comfortability factor, I know you've just been here 6 months or so, but it seems like he's really comfortable with the guys that are around him.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're all very comfortable with everybody around us. And he is right. We have a very competent staff. We get along very well and work very hard together. So we're optimistic about that part of it. So I'm excited about working with these guys. And so far, so good. It's been fun.
What do you want to learn about your group over the next 28 practices?
I want to learn their aptitude. How much can they learn? I'm going to force feed them a ton of offense and just see where we're at. See how much they can learn and absorb. I feel like the familiarity of the offense through the spring and making it through the summer, they've made good strides in that regards, I think. We're about to find out, but I'm optimistic that way. So it'll be interesting to see just how much we can absorb and how much offense we'll be able to utilize and be able to execute.
How hard is that for a JT and a Bride who haven't really gotten out there on the field yet?
It's very hard. You know, when you haven't had a lot of reps doing stuff, it's like anything else we do. The more you do this interview with your little camera in your hand, the better you get at it. And arguably, yes, I've seen that at quarterback play also. So yeah, it all comes with repetitions. We all get better, we hope, with repetition.
What were your impressions of this offensive line coming out of the spring?
Well, I thought they competed very hard. I think that we got to continue to become more fundamentally sound up front, and I think Will's done a real good job with that and putting some new pieces in there with some of these young kids coming in. It's going to be fun to watch the competition there and see how that unfolds. But I'm very optimistic about those kids. I think they're hungry. I think they realize they think they need to play better, and I think they will. So I'm excited about that.
What do you think? I believe you've had staffs that have started true freshmen on the offensive line.
Yeah, I've been one of them right here a long time ago. I think we had 3 freshmen one time, and 3 true freshmen in this league is not something you want to do.
What does it take in order to be able to contribute right away? And just where
Well, number one is let's fall to General Nealon and let's look at that first maxim. Do you know what you're doing? Can you play clean football? So you got to understand your assignments. Then it gets down to who has the best production. You know, you're going to try to put your 5 best players on the field in the offensive line. So who can learn their assignments, who can not make mistakes, and who can execute and do the best they can. So we'll play the 5 best there, but it always gets down to who can make the fewest mistakes up front.
What do you think about the idea of coaching around the offensive line? Do you
I don't
believe
think
in
it's
that?
possible.
What do you think of that? What do you?
I don't believe it's possible. I don't think you can coach around your offensive line. Football's been a game of played in the line of scrimmage for a lot of years. At Purdue years ago, we threw it all the time, and everybody, well, you know, you're doing that to bypass your line. But we had a lot of linemen go on and play in the NFL, so we weren't winning the game because of the lack of the line play. We were winning because of the line play. We were just doing it a different way. It's hard to hide it if you're deficient in the offensive line. It's difficult to do, and I think it's virtually impossible at times. So my anticipation is that our kids are going to go out there and compete, and we're going to be just fine. We're going to go get better as the season goes on and continue to develop, and hopefully everything will go our way.
Jim, Coach Pruitt said it seems like you get better every year. How much pride do you take in that, and do you think the best is still ahead of you?
My wife would disagree with that. And, I don't know that. I have no idea. I feel like I get more excited as the years go on. I have no idea why. I think I enjoy the relationships with the players the older I get. I think when you're young, you're trying to make a dollar and you're trying to move through this thing, and you sometimes get caught up in the business as opposed to some of the relationships that you can enjoy and cherish. And I tend to enjoy that a little bit more right now than I have in the past.
Coach, speaking of the business, I mean, how different does it feel, or does it feel different? I mean, you're coming from a place where you're going for a national championship to a place where you're trying to make a bowl game.
Well, to me, it's my job. They pay me to run an offense and do the best I can, and so I don't get caught up in all of that stuff. I get caught up in my own job and doing the best situation I can put our kids in to be successful. I think it's a process. I'm a big believer in that mindset of the process. So let's go out and get better every day and see where it lays at the end of the day. So I don't get really too worried about that. I am here, and I'm excited to be here, and we'll see what happens.
Helping Jarrett, no doubt, this season we'll be running the football. What do you like about that group behind him, Coach?
Well, I think those kids are good. They play pretty hard. I've really been impressed with Ty's ability to make plays and run, and all those kids are playing hard. So it'll be interesting to see what we can get done. I think that is one of our goals as we go into training camp, is just to see what we can establish in the run game and see which direction we need to go to make sure we can be productive there.
What do you want to
know a lot of coaches always say that they want to do whatever that their team does best. You want to coach with the guys you have. But your offenses, you've done it pretty much every different way you can do it, except for maybe running an option or something.
No, I tried that at Fullerton and got fired. So, yes, I've tried that also.
I guess bottom line, when you, at what point in your career did you really become a full believer in the concept of, if I have to change everything to do it here, that's just what I got.
Well, I think my stint in the National Football League helped me understand the importance of winning situational football. And to do that, you got to win short yardage. You got to win in the tight red zone. You got to be able to run the ball out in a 4-minute drill. And to do that, you have to have physical mindset. And so, philosophical change from the Purdue through the NFL years to here is that you have to be able to do a little bit of everything to be successful. You can't be one-dimensional. But still, I hang my hat on, if you're the most physical team when you walk on the field, you got a chance. And we'll continue to try to do that.
What do you want to emphasize with Jared over the next month?
Playing clean football, distributing it around to our playmakers, and not letting him think that everything rides on his shoulders. I'm more worried about him learning all the protections and continuing to develop in that mindset so he can keep himself protected.
Talk about emphasizing being a more physical team. How do you think y'all progressed in that area?
Well, I felt like we got through the spring with installation. I think sometimes when you're installing plays for the first time, the kids are thinking and they don't get to concentrate on becoming a better player sometimes. They're worried about schemes. I think schemes are now done. I think they understand what that is. So now they can hopefully focus on the fundamentals of their position and learning to play more physical.
Jared talked in Hoover about feeling like he had freedom and control over his protections and checking plays at the line. From your perspective, how much freedom does he have?
As much as he can handle.
Well, compared to other guys you've coached, how much freedom do you think he has?
About the same. I think any good offense allows your quarterbacks to change plays when they need to. I mean, you can, as a play caller, you can sit there and be right about 60% of the time. Somebody's got to get you right that other 40, or you're living in the back. You're living in a bad situation. So expectations for him is to get me out of my horrible calls to some good calls, which I think he can do, and I trust all our quarterbacks to be able to do that, but he should be able to do it at a higher rate because he's played more football.
Jared and Jake Fromm at SEC Media Day said they got a lot of value out of just sitting with you and chatting, maybe not necessarily going over film. What value do you place on that, and do you have any memories of doing that with Drew Brees?
Well, yeah, I had memories of that with Drew. I can remember distinctly we had a long time ago. We'd always hook up on Thursdays and talk about red zone. I had a play I loved in the red zone, and I was going to call it, and he said, don't do it. Don't call that play. I don't trust that receiver to run that route right. So I scratched that play. I was smart enough to figure if Drew didn't like it, I wasn't going to do it. And so learning those things, and listen, the quarterbacks are, when they figure out you got their best interest in mind, they'll do about anything you want them to do. And I think it's important that you hear from them on what they see. They see it from a different perspective. And when you have honest dialogue with those kids, they'll make a comment about another player and say, hey, I don't like the way he does this, so quit calling this. It makes sense to you, but you don't see it from. He's the guy sitting there at 7 yards deep with a bunch of guys trying to break his neck. He has a different perspective on it than I do. It's not my neck, which is damn good for all of us.
How would you describe you and Jared's relationship right now?
Very good, very sound. I've enjoyed Jared. I think he's going to hopefully have a good season for us, and he's hungry to do so. I think he's a very good student of football. I think he has a good aptitude, and he has a good feel for the game. I like Jared. We've developed a good relationship thus far.
How much did you watch of his tape last year?
When I watched him play, when I got here,
yeah, how much did you?
Oh, very little, very little. I don't. When I do these things, I don't go back and study a lot of what they are. I want to form my own opinions as we go through spring and stuff. But you're always watching what they did. But I see him do some nice things. I see some other things I question. But you never know. I mean, like I say, I'm optimistic where we are right now and very pleased. So we'll continue to grow.
How important will it be to establish a clear backup through this camp?
I think it's very important. You got to be able to do that. You got to have someone you can put on the field and trust to be able to execute the offense and see what happens. There'll be some good competition there. So I think it's important.
You've coached the tight end position before. You've been around some really good ones. What kind of weapon do you see Donald Anderson? He seems to physically just have the tools.
Well, he does. He's a talented young man. It'll be interesting to see what we can get done with him. How many multiple positions can we let him play? That's always the trick on that position. How far can he take the game? That'll be because in the spring we didn't really open up a lot of things for Dom, but I do think he's a talented guy, And when he's got the ball in his hand, he does a really nice job with that. So he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be forced touches. You're going to have to say, hey, I've got to make sure he touches it X amount of times, because I do think he's a talent and he can help us win a lot of games.
Jim, how do you balance continuity, finding that continuity with the offensive line versus kind of waiting until the last drive?
You know, everybody has a different opinion on that. My history says defensive coordinators, defensive head coaches think you can move those pieces around a lot. The day before the game, hey, he can go to guard, he can go to tackle. Those people who have worked with the offensive line try to get it in place way too soon. So I've always mixed it, try to figure out the harmony there. I think as soon as you can find your 5 best players and try to put them in the positions you need them at, the sooner the better. It's like anything else. But you also don't want to do it so early you're losing competition too. So we want to let this thing play out and see the best players are. It'll be interesting. I'm interested about that. It'll be good to see.
How would you describe where that sits right now?
As far as the competition,
Yeah,
well, I think with the young guys, it's interesting for me to see who's going to play the cleanest. I can't tell you yet who's going to be that. I don't know. I'm curious to see Darnell, see how he plays when he gets in here. So there's a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of still up in the air in that regards. But I kind of feel that way across the board offensively. I don't sit here and name 11 starters. I'd have a hard time doing that right now. Because you never really, in my position, you're never really looking for 11. You're trying to find, 18, 20, whatever you can think can play winning football for you, and find ways to put them on the field to be successful.
Jim, have you had much conversation with Trey Smith about his battle in trying to get back on the field?
I have not. I've stayed out of that. That's coach's deal with Trey.
One more question, guys, for Coach Chaney.
What did you learn about your receivers this spring, and what do you feel like you have?
I think they're a competitive group of guys that take a lot of pride in their role, and I think that they're going to be a big part of what we're trying to get done this year. We're going to have to use those guys on early downs probably a little more than I have in the past, and I look forward to those older guys making plays for us. But I think they're competitive. I think they can make plays.
Thank you, guys.
You betcha. You betcha.